Good morning students. This is going to be the very short video, and without wasting much of the time, let us start with the topics that we are going to cover in today's video. The first is the types of voids and the second is types of the unit cells. So let us begin with what are voids. लास्ट क्लास में भी हमने ये देखा था कि voids क्या होती हैं. These are the empty spaces between the spheres, empty spaces between the spheres in the space lattice, in the space lattice. Now the first kind of void that we are going to see is the trigonal void, triangular void or the trigonal void. It is a void formed between the three spheres. Void formed between the three spheres. This is called as trigonal void. One sphere is this, the second sphere is this, and the third sphere is this. So we have the triangular void over here. This is triangular or trigonal void. So the example of the trigonal void is B2O3. बोरॉन का सॉलिड है. B2O3 is the crystal structure. So in the void, boron atom is present. In void, the boron atom is present and it is surrounded by the oxygen atoms, It is surrounded by the oxygen atoms. Now we move on to the next type of void, that is tetrahedral void. The second is tetrahedral void. It is formed in between four spheres. It is formed in between four spheres. It is not tetrahedral in shape, but it appears that the four spheres are present at the four corners of a regular tetrahedron. Let us first draw and then you will understand. So we have these three spheres and then the one sphere is kept above this triangular void. Now we are having the four spheres. One red sphere present above the trigonal void. Three blue spheres are in one plane forming trigonal void. So now what I am saying is, these four spheres, let us say if I am having these four spheres, it appears that these are present at the four vertices of a tetrahedron. spheres appear as if they are present at the four corners of a tetrahedron. Example of any solid which is having the tetrahedral void is zinc sulfide. Zinc is present in tetrahedral void. It is surrounded by sulfide ions, right? Now we are going to study the next type of void, which is octahedral void. Now we are going to look at the octahedral void. It is formed between the 6 spheres. It is formed between the 6 spheres. How are these 6 spheres arranged? The one is all these 3 blue spheres are in one plane and the other 3 are arranged as one, 2 and 3. So the void now that is formed with the help of these 6 spheres over here, this is this void that is formed over here is the octahedral void. So this is the octahedral void. Is this clear to everyone who is watching now? Okay, so we now move on to the next type of void, which is cubic void. The next is the cubic void. It is formed between 8 spheres. Cubic void. It is formed between 8 spheres. It is formed between the 8 spheres. Example is cesium chloride. Example is cesium chloride. एंड इसका एग्जाम्पल था मेरे पास सोडियम क्लोराइड NaCl. सीजियम क्लोराइड में हमारे पास क्या है? दीज आर द 4 स्फीयर्स and then these are the another 4 spheres. Now this void that is formed over here, this is the octahedral void. This is the octahedral void. This is the cubic void. I'm sorry if I said the octahedral void, but it is the cubic void. So cesium is present in this cubic void and it is surrounded by the chloride ions. Correct. So now we move on to the next topic, that is types of the unit cells. Now we move on to types of unit cells. यूनिट सेल्स हमारे पास दो तरह के होते हैं. द वन इज प्रिमिटिव यूनिट सेल्स एंड द अदर इज, द फर्स्ट इज प्रिमिटिव यूनिट सेल एंड द अदर इज नॉन प्रिमिटिव यूनिट सेल्स. प्रिमिटिव यूनिट सेल मतलब कोई बहुत ही सिंपल यूनिट होगा, जैसे ही हमें नाम से पता चल रहा है कि प्रिमिटिव का मतलब बहुत ही बेसिक. नॉन प्रिमिटिव मतलब उसमें कुछ खास होने वाला है. सो लेट अस लुक एट कि नॉन प्रिमिटिव में खास क्या है, लेकिन उससे पहले हमें पता लगाना होगा कि प्रिमिटिव क्या है. प्रिमिटिव यूनिट सेल इज सिंपली व्हेन constituent particles are present, constituent particles in the primitive unit cell, constituent particles in the primitive unit cell are present only at the corners. These are present only at the corners. Non-primitive unit cell में constituent particles are present at the corners as well as at the other parts of unit cell. पहले हम एक यूनिट सेल को थोड़ा सा डिफाइन करते हैं कि यूनिट सेल में हमारे पास क्या क्या है. ये मेरे पास एक मैंने यूनिट सेल ड्रॉ किया है. सो नाउ यू कैन सी दैट दिस इज अ क्यूब और अ यूनिट सेल. देयर आर 8 corners, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 corners. How many edges? How many faces? Edges कितनी है? 12 edges and 6 faces. So now if I further move on, let me draw the cube once again, and this time a bigger cube because I want to show you something. You also try to draw the cube. Next time whenever there is some drawing, I will try to draw it before, because otherwise it will be consuming some time. So students, yes, I have drawn this cube. And now we are going to see that when the atom is present at the corner. So if this atom is present at the corner, can you tell me with how many unit cells it will be having the contribution? This atom is going to contribute to how many unit cells? The atom which is present at the corner. The 4 unit cells you can already see the first one, second one, third one and fourth one. But this is at the back. This is front, this is front, this is back. So at the back the 4 more unit cells will be there. If 4 more unit cells will be there, then this corner atom will be shared by a total of 8 unit cells. So note it down, the atom which is present, the atom which is present at the corner is shared between 8 unit cells. Therefore, it is going to contribute only 1/8 to the given unit cell. Right? And if some atom is present at the face, if some atom is present at the face of the unit cell, then it is shared between the 2 unit cells, and therefore its contribution is going to be 1/2. Its contribution is going to be 1/2. Now if some atom is present at the edge, if some atom is present at the edge of the unit cell, then its contribution to that particular unit cell is 1/4, because it is shared between the 4 unit cells, because it is shared between the 4 unit cells, because it is shared between the 4 unit cells. How? Suppose there is some just let me just erase this one. So if we have the atom which is present on this edge, so now you can see that this edge is shared between only the 4 unit cells. So its contribution to this particular unit cell will be 1/4. Similarly over here 1/4 and 1/4 and 1/4. Any atom which is present on the edge will have its contribution as 1/4. Any atom which is present at the corner will have 1/8 contribution. Any atom which is present at the face of the unit cell is going to have 1/2 as its contribution. So now let us move to the primitive unit cell. Primitive unit cell. In this we have simple cubic unit cell, SCC, simple cubic unit cell. Atoms present only at the corners of the unit cell. Atoms are present only at the corners of the unit cell. So if I am having this unit cell and the atoms are only and only present at the 8 corners, then this is simple cubic unit cell. So if someone will ask, अगर कोई पूछेगा कि इसके अंदर टोटल एटम्स कितने हैं, उसको हम कैसे कैलकुलेट करेंगे? 8 हमारे पास टोटल एटम्स हैं. टोटल एटम्स मल्टीप्लाई बाय contribution of each atom. Total atoms, total constituent particles. Rather than writing the atoms, we can write the constituent particles. Constituent particles, contribution of each particle, contribution of each particle. So the constituent particles over here are 8 present at the 8 corners. Each one is having the 1/8 as the contribution and it is total 1. So the effective number Z, effective number Z is equal to 1. Effective number Z comes out to be 1 for the primitive unit cell. Now we come to the non-primitive unit cells. When the atoms are present at the corners as well as at certain other positions. Non-primitive unit cells. Non-primitive unit cells. Atoms at corners plus at certain other positions. So इसमें हमारे पास फर्स्ट कैटेगरी, तीन ही कैटेगरीज हमें चेक करनी है, जिसमें से फर्स्ट कैटेगरी है हमारे पास FCC, फेस सेंटर्ड क्यूबिक unit cell. Then there is ECC, end centered cubic unit cell. Then we have the BCC, body centered cubic unit cell. FCC में we have let's make a cube for all the 3 parts. So now in this face centered 8 atoms are present, 8 constituent particles are there at the corners, and then these are the faces. So 6 faces are there in a cube and each face is having a constituent particle at the center of the face. In the end centered cubic unit cell, 8 constituent particles are present at the 8 corners of the cube and the 2 particles are present at any of the 2 opposite faces, या तो यहाँ पर या फिर यहाँ पर या फिर यहाँ पर, आगे और पीछे, this and this. So we can draw कि एक यहाँ पर है and the other is here. Body centered में 8 particles, constituent particles are present at the 8 corners of the unit cell, and then the 1 particle is present at the body of the unit cell. Let us try to calculate the effective number Z for each of the non-primitive unit cell. फेस सेंटर्ड में इफेक्टिव नंबर Z, इफेक्टिव नंबर Z की कैलकुलेशन करनी है. You can do it yourself also. It's not a difficult task. Effective number Z. Over here we are having 8 atoms present at the 8 corners plus 6 half. So are you understanding why I am writing like this? So these are the 8 constituent particles present at the corners, and each one is having a contribution of 1 by 8. 6 atoms constituent particles are at the faces. Each one is having the contribution of 1 by 2. So we have a total of 4 as the effective number Z. Similarly, in case of this is FCC, this is ECC, this is BCC. In the end-centered cubic unit cell, the effective number Z comes out to be 1 plus 1, which is 2. And the effective number Z for the body-centered cubic unit cell comes out to be 1 plus 1 is equal to 2 again. So this is it for this video. If there are any doubts, please do mention your doubts in the comment section, and I will be very happy to take your doubts. Keep learning, keep revising. All of you are champions. Thank you.